knew that I would live a polygamous lifestyle. That's probably just because I was raised in it. So I wasn't ever interested in single guys.
Hello everyone and welcome to Happily Ever Reality. Today we are talking about Becoming Sister Wives, Chapter 7. And this chapter is all about Christine, and it is in part 2 of the book, which focuses on sorority. So this part is it's not actually about Christine, but it's written by her. So she is telling us about her relationships with the other wives. Christine starts out the chapter by telling us what it was like during those first few years after she married Cody. She talks both about the relationship with Cody and the relationship with Meri and Janelle.
The first 5, 6, 7 years were a huge learning curve. I mean, we're still learning.
The first thing we find out from Christine is that the first year of marriage was tough. She realized that she didn't know Cody as well as she had thought. And she wrote about how she dealt with their issues by not really dealing with them at all. She knew about the pitfalls of polygamy. She had came from a family of polygamists, but she had never seen her parents address any of their struggles. She said her family was the type that put on a smile and didn't show that there were any problems. So that's what Christine did when she first joined Cody, Meri, and Janelle. But that wasn't something she was able to do for long. Now remember, she entered into a really tense situation with Meri and Janelle. Now, even though things were difficult, Christine makes the point of writing in the book that if she came off as naive in the beginning, that was a choice she made. She knew the pitfalls because of her growing up around polygamists. I think sometimes that's something, people say about Christine. She was naive or she didn't know what she was getting into. But Christine makes the point of saying that wasn't the case. She knew what she was getting into when she joined the family. I will tell you though, it's sort of weird when you're reading this chapter and you've just read the last 2 chapters from Meri and Janelle. I would have assumed that one of the first things that Christine would mention were the issues that Janelle and Meri were having, but she doesn't actually bring that up right away. And that just felt odd to me, being that Meri and Janelle wrote about each other and their relationships in a way that made it sound so bad. I would have just thought it was the first thing that Christine brought up. But instead of mentioning the tension between Janelle and Meri, she mentions that all 3 of them disagree on how to do the household work and how to parent Logan. So you have to remember, Christine married into this family when Janelle was pregnant. So her first year of marriage included the birth of the firstborn child in this family. And Christine talks about how she felt about Logan. Even though she does make it very clear that she loved him and she loves being a mother, she says that Cody doted on Logan a lot and it made her feel insignificant. She actually writes, "How could I compete with a firstborn son?" In my opinion, that shouldn't have been put into a book, and it's not something that should have been said publicly. I feel the same way about the nacho story. Nothing good came out of Cody putting that in the book. Wasn't going to help the relationship, and I just feel the same way about her sharing that. It was fine that she shared about Logan being born and what it was like with them all parenting him, but that detail about how she felt wasn't necessary, and it didn't come off in the most positive way. It's not a competition. I think she should have left that out. I do think it's a good reminder, though, that that's sort of how these relationships work. They're all competing to feel special. They're all competing for attention. We talk about Meri not having as many children, and she says that she felt like she had less say in the family. It's a very competitive setup if you think about it. I feel like some of you are going to disagree with me, though, about both, it being competitive and about her saying that about Logan in the book. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. For the first 3 months of the marriage, they all lived together, and then Christine moved into a cottage by herself so that she could have time to connect with Cody independently from the other wives. To me, this implies there were some sort of issues, and she pretty much confirms it. But she still ends up getting pregnant, according to the book, right around the time of moving into the cottage. And what she says is that things weren't really going well with her and Cody. She writes that she didn't know how to express herself well when she was upset, and when she did try, Cody didn't know how to handle it very well. She admits that they got married too soon, too young, and they didn't know how to deal with the situation they were in. She realized this when they got into their first big fight. To no one's surprise, that first fight was about how he divided his time between the wives. This chapter doesn't go any further about that fight. It's just basically a way of pointing out that they weren't ready for this marriage and the situation they were in. And then it jumps over to talking about Janelle and Meri. And you have to remember that is really the focus of this chapter. So Cody's sort of an afterthought. At this point, Janelle has been staying home because she's given birth to Logan, but it's finally time for her to go back to work. And Christine is the one that stays home with him and watches him. And Christine loved it. It made her really happy. She writes about how Logan was really raised by 3 moms. Meri provided constructive discipline, Janelle provided comfort, and Christine was the one who brought happiness and joy. Christine really loved playing with Logan, and she wanted to make sure there was a lot of happiness in the home for him because the household was sometimes tense due to Meri and Janelle's relationship. Even though Christine is loving that she's staying home with Logan, she's still not doing very well emotionally. And she says she sort of lost herself for a few years. And it was sometime after the birth of Aspen that one of her friends called her and they had a conversation about how she was doing. And she realized that she needed to change. She needed to relax and just go back to being who she truly was. And that's what she did. She realized that much like Meri and Janelle, she had idealized what it was going to be like to be a sister wife. And she sort of lost herself in all of that. She actually writes that she thought the experience would be celestial, but really it was taking a lot of hard work. Eventually, she formed a friendship with Meri and took the time to learn more about Janelle. She actually says that Meri became her best friend and that even though she has a friendship with Janelle, it's not quite the same as Meri because Janelle is a little bit more reserved. We all know that doesn't last forever, and we will find out what caused the big change between Meri and Christine in this chapter, but right now at the beginning, they're best friends. So the chapter is set up so that we move through the years of the marriage, when Christine entered the family until they wrote the book. So we do a bit of a jump forward to the point where all of the wives have had their first child, and they're living in a 1,000 square foot home in Wyoming. So 4 adults and 3 kids. They're cramped. Cody does not like his job. They're just very unhappy. And this leads to them deciding to move to Utah, and they get into a 3,000 square foot home. And Cody starts this new job. Janelle gets a new job that she likes more. Christine takes on a part-time job to bring in extra money. Things seem to be going better for them. And that is something that is consistent with each wife. They all agree that this move was good for their family.
We have 3 separate apartments in one big house, but they're all connected on the inside.
So many things changed from that first season of the show to where we are now. And of course, we know they don't stay in that house there forever. They do eventually move out of it. But while they're there, that space seems to be good for them. And Christine writes about how much she loved those years. She had actually gotten really close to Meri. They liked to cook the same way, do crafts, plan holidays, and it really sounds like at that point they enjoyed each other's company. Janelle and Cody both liked their new jobs, so it seemed like everything was all good. So Cody has started a new job, and yet again, he managed to find a job that required him to travel for work. Cody seems to be really good at that, or at least that's how the book makes it seem. So Cody's traveling again, and at this point, Meri and Janelle have both traveled with Cody on work trips, but Christine hasn't. It only seems fair that she finally gets to go. So she packs up Aspen and McKelty and goes with Cody on a 2-week-long work trip. And how she writes about this is a little bit odd to me again. According to this chapter, at this point, everything is going pretty well with the family. But this is what she says. When Cody asked me to go, I was over the moon. He could have taken anyone, and he took me. I suddenly felt special again. To me, when I'm reading this, it's clear that Christine struggled with polygamy and with her relationship with Cody right from the beginning. Earlier she said she couldn't compete with the firstborn son, and here she is saying that she feels special again, even though, according to her, for the most part, the stuff in the family was going pretty good. All I'm saying is that, to me, when I'm reading this book, it shows that this really wasn't the right lifestyle for her. And I just want to point out that I don't think Christine was a bad sister wife. I don't think that at all. I think she was a great sister wife. I just think she needed a different relationship with her husband. I think she just would have done better in a monogamous relationship. And that does not say in any way anything bad about her. She's just being like most people. Most people want to be with one person, and they want that person to just be with them, specifically if you're going to marry them. That's what most people want. So I don't think this is saying anything bad about Christine. I think she grew up seeing polygamy, and she just went right into that because of her faith. I think she would have done well just being in a monogamous relationship. So I threw my opinion in there, but let's get back to talking about this trip. She says a lot went wrong on the trip. The car overheated. The kids were so hot that they had to cool them down with ice chips. The car broke down multiple times, but she says it was a turning point for their relationship. She wrote that this was their true honeymoon. She said that Cody told her he would walk in front of a train for her, and after this, she was certain they were soulmates. I just want to remind everyone that at this point they already have 2 kids together and they've been together a few years. So this was happening a bit late. I want to throw in a clip here of Cody and Christine talking from season 17.
It's true, we married under circumstances that were not romantic.
They were for me. They weren't for you.
So in the matrimony part of this book, Christine clearly likes Cody before he really likes her. She had a crush on him way before he was interested in courting her. I want to put in another clip from that scene, but I want to give you a little bit more context. They're talking about the beginning of their marriage. She says that it was romantic for her, and he says that it wasn't really romantic for him, but it felt like they were fulfilling a destiny. And so what he's saying is the beginning wasn't loving, it wasn't super romantic, but it became that. And this is what he says. Here's the clip of him talking about how it changed.
After that, we got in marriage that was wonderful.
I only point this out because there are a lot of discrepancies, and it feels like there's a lot of things that just don't add up, but this is one of the things that feels accurate. Their marriage wasn't super loving or romantic in the beginning. He was doing it to fulfill a destiny. That was it. And it didn't become a wonderful marriage until later. So this trip they had went on changed everything for them. She says her relationship with Cody was as good as the relationships with Meri and Janelle. Now, at this point, Meri and Janelle are both working, and Christine has become the main stay-at-home mom. Christine is homeschooling and doing a lot of the homemaking tasks. She says Janelle and Meri were her 2 best friends, and she had all the benefits that she had imagined from a plural marriage. But there is a problem. Even though life has been going pretty good on the surface, there had been some issues when it came to Meri and Christine's kids. I want to stop here and point something out. The book doesn't have specific dates. There are life events like births and marriages that will give a specific year, but other events don't. And an example of this is the fight that Christine has with Meri. She says it occurred around a year before she became pregnant with Truly. So that might have put this happening sometime around early to mid 2008. So that's when this fight happens, and Christine says the fight was devastating. This fight really changed things for Meri and Christine. Christine felt like Meri was being too harsh with her kids when she was disciplining them. Christine said it seemed like Meri was taking all of her frustrations out on them, and Christine's kids had reached a point where they were afraid to accidentally cross her. Christine wrote that she held it all in for too long, and then she exploded. She yelled and she screamed, and she told Meri not to talk to her kids anymore. And this changed everything for them. Their relationship is cordial, but they no longer seek out each other's company. We've definitely heard a lot about this fight. We've also heard about how some of Christine's kids feel about Meri, so it must have been really bad. Like, I believe that there was something going on there. I don't know what it was. I don't think I've never heard anything specifically myself, but it definitely changed Christine and Meri's relationship. Around this time, Christine is putting a lot of pressure on herself. She wants to be the perfect homemaker, wife, and mother, so she continues to take on more and more tasks. She just wants to do it all. So she commits to doing a lot more at their church because she feels like family and church are two of the most important things in her life. But because she wants it all to be perfect, she eventually becomes stressed and overwhelmed. So she knows that something needs to change. It's also around this time that Cody and Christine agree to have another baby, and this is going to be her last one. This is Truly. So she decides to focus only on motherhood. She stops doing any of the extra things and just focuses on being a good mom. So we're at the point now where she's pregnant with Truly. It's during the pregnancy that the first season of the show is filmed, and it's also when Robin enters the picture. And Christine's perspective of this time is really interesting. She says that they, meaning the 4 adults in the family, had been almost perfect for 16 years. Yes, she actually uses the word bliss to describe it. Remember how she said she had grown up in a family where they put a smile on their face and ignored problems? I think she must have been doing that for a long time when she wrote this book, because hearing about things now, it just doesn't sound blissful to me. But whatever, that's what she thought when she wrote the book. She looks back on those years very fondly, and maybe that's how it is for all of them. Maybe the pre-Robin years feel like they were blissful. But at this point, Cody starts courting Robin, and Christine says in the beginning she was all about it. She was enthusiastic and tried to be inviting, and it was all good until Cody and Robin actually get married. So if you watch those earlier seasons, you know that's not how it felt. In season 1, when Cody is courting Robin, it definitely felt like Christine was having a hard time with it, which is completely understandable. But when you read the book, you can tell she was trying to be as enthusiastic and as inviting as she could be. She said when she met Robin for the first time, she made a huge meal for her. But then when you watch the earlier episodes, you find out that she really had a hard time with the fact that both Meri and Cody had met Robin and she hadn't met her yet. And I'm going to put in a clip here to show you guys what I'm talking about.
The whole Robin coming along was making me mad because I hadn't met her, and here Cody's going on and on and on about her. He prays about it.
Now, I have to throw out my opinion here because that's what I'm doing. I'm talking about the book and giving some of my opinions. And I think Christine was trying her hardest to be the perfect polygamist wife instead of being really honest. And in order to be in a marriage like this, you have to minimize your feelings all of the time. Overcoming your emotions is a huge part of what it takes to make this work. They talk about it on the show. The wives have said overcoming the feelings of jealousy makes them be better people. But I disagree. I don't think you should have to feel like this in your marriage. Christine said that she had a strong testimony that Robin was supposed to marry Cody. It was actually stronger than her testimony that she was supposed to marry Cody. But it didn't matter. She still felt like Cody was replacing them with Robin and her kids. Christine said she felt pushed aside. And boy, let's just get real. She had no idea what was coming in the future. A response to her feeling this way was that she demanded more and more from Cody. She writes that she nitpicked Cody and everything he did, and she panicked about being neglected. She writes that she was never satisfied with how much time she got or what he did. So when you're reading this, you can tell that Christine is sort of blaming herself. She's saying that she expected too much out of Cody, and it was a reaction to how she was feeling about Cody marrying and courting Robin, right? But here's my thing. In season 17, she brings this time period up. She talks about when she was pregnant with Truly. And I can't help but wonder if, as the years went on, she realized that she wasn't being treated very well, and she feels differently about it now. I'm going to put in 2 clips about this. The first one is very short, and it's just Christine talking about when her marriage to Cody started to end. And this comes from season 17, I believe episode 1 or 2, where she is talking to Cody about the fact that she wants to leave him. Like, she doesn't want to be with him anymore. And he's trying to figure it out. You know, Cody's trying to wrap his head around it. And then they do this confessional where she talks about when it began to end.
Where mine and Cody's marriage started to disintegrate is actually when I was pregnant with Truly.
So Christine actually has a very specific incident that she felt changed her relationship with Cody. Here's a clip of her talking about it. It's from that same episode.
So I was working at night, and Aspen in 5th grade was tucking the kids in bed at night, 10 years old. And I asked Cody, I said, I need your help. And he goes, I can't do that. I'm in other houses. I'm like, we live in one house.
So based on what she said there and what she said in the book, to me, it feels like her feelings changed. And it wasn't just her relationship with Cody that changed. It was also the way she treated Robin. She treated Robin one way during the courtship and another way after she was actually married to Cody. Christine wrote that she was sweet and kind during Robin and Cody's courtship, but when Robin was finally her sister wife, she was no longer sweet and kind. She actually says she feels like she had lied to Robin. Now I want to stop here and throw in a clip of Robin talking during season 18.
Was there things I was missing when I first came in the family with you guys that I didn't quite realize were underneath everything?
Honestly, it sounds like the answer to that question is yes. And I doubt it was just Christine that was putting on a show about how the family was doing and how everyone was taking Robin courting Cody. I think they all put on a show that they shouldn't have put on. They should have been honest. But again, I think that pressure to be good polygamous wives, they were doing what they thought would make them special to Cody. That's what I think happened here. You guys can let me know in the comments, but I do think there was stuff going on there that Robin didn't understand at all, and I think they did the best they could to cover it up as much as possible. So at this point, Christine's marriage to Cody isn't very good. She's struggling with Robin being in the family, and it reaches a point where Cody is like done. He's like, you have to go back to being the person you were before. And she said this made her realize that she had changed and she needed to work on overcoming her feelings of jealousy and insecurity. Now, during all of this, by this, I mean the courting of Robin, the marriage to Robin, the pregnancy and birth of Truly, as well as postpartum depression, the filming of the show, and the move, Christine said she needed to learn to depend on other people to help with some of the homemaking tasks and parenting tasks that she had been responsible for. And this was something that was hard for her to do. Remember, she wants to be perfect, so it's really hard for her to let go and depend on other people, but she's working on it. And at this point, we are nearing the end of the chapter. And honestly, I don't think her chapter ended on a really positive note. It ends, in my opinion, kind of bad. She continues to be a cheerleader for Cody and say that he is becoming a good leader and he is more emotionally mature. But there are still issues between them because she feels insecure. So she just blames herself for that. And she says this insecurity and jealousy are things that will get better as she works on her relationship with God. Yep, that's what she wrote there. And I just feel like when she wrote that and when she wrote this book, or at least this chapter, things weren't really that great for her. I think Christine is someone who tries really hard to be positive, but knowing what we know now, it's clear she was minimizing the issues that were going on in their family, and it was just so much more significant than this book makes them out to be. But that is just my opinion. You guys should let me know in the comments what you think. If you haven't already, go ahead and click like and subscribe. I hope you come back to Happily Ever Reality. Next, we will be going through Robin's chapter in the sorority part of the book.